Y'all know what the sound of old Uncle Ted means. It means it's time for another Your Lake Fork Guide live stream. It's Thursday night. It's top baits for Lake Fork bass fishing. We're dealing with fall transition and turnover conditions, and we're going to tell you guys our best options on how to get you guys on more and bigger fish this weekend. Cheers, y'all. Thursday night top baits. Let's get it. That is what. Tell him, Ted. Let's go, Uncle Ted. Come on. Y'all know how we do it around here, man. We like to start it with Uncle Ted. Just sets the mood. Kind of for the attitude that I like to live life with, if I'm being honest. I want to live life like Uncle Ted, if I can. I think that would be a great way of living for all of us to aspire to. Hey, it is fall transition. We're going to break down what's going on with the lake, give you guys the best bait options we have to help you guys as much as we can. I just came straight off the soccer field. I've got to get the boys fed and in bed so they can get up and go to school and not be complete idiots like their dad, hoping they'll be better than me. So we're going to kind of run through this a little bit quick tonight, but it is Thursday night top baits. And you know, I couldn't skip one. I can't skip one. I got to do it because I'm here for you guys, or at least I try to be. So one more time, cheers, y'all. Thursday night. Let's get it. Do me a favor as you guys join us tonight, man. Hit that thumbs up, man. If you like these live streams, let me know. Interact with the deal. Hit the thumbs up. Drop me a comment. Let me know who we're dealing with. And also, sharing is caring in today's world of social media. So please, please share this post if you know how. I actually don't. I'm sure most of you guys are smarter than me and probably do know how to do it. So please do share this live stream. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's say some hellos and how you doing to our early risers in the chat room. Steve Chastain's in the house. Billy Castleberry. Michael Bray, Hawkeye 89, Colton Deloach, Caesar Sotelo, James Clifton, Chance Lopez, Big John, John Sherrod, Dusty Smith, Gary Payne, JD, Big L. Hey, we are going to have a free seminar tomorrow night, live and in person, Lake Fork Marina, 6 p.m. Free seminar. If you're in the area, please come join us. We would love to talk fishing with you, hang out, maybe eat dinner afterwards. Who knows? We'll have a good time either way. And you guys can ask any questions you want about anything you want. We'll answer all of them. No punches pulled, as they say. Big C just joined the chat. Appreciate you, Big C. Busting Outdoors, Billy Snow. Appreciate all y'all. Billy Castleberry needs to know how to get a Fish Life app password reset. Email support@fishlife.net. Support@fishlife.net. Our support team will help you get any technical difficulties you're having solved in no time. They're very, very good. Fleischer, Todd Fleischer said he's rolling to Maryland. Now, Fleischer is the bus driver for none other than friend of the channel, Whiskey Myers. Cody Kennedy is the lead singer. He's friend of the channel. Whiskey Myers is headed to Maryland on their tour. I wanted so bad to go to their shows in Arlington, and I just couldn't. I had stuff going on with the kids, and I could not break free to go to their shows they had in DFW when they were here. It kind of hurt my feelings, if I'm being honest, because that would have been a good time. All right, let's get down to the dirty real quick because I got to knock this out pretty quick. So, the lake is in a fall transition turnover type of period. Sorry, my fall allergy is starting to kick in because of what's going on outside. I'm sure some of y'all are dealing with it too. So if I start sneezing and sniffling, I apologize. You're not going to see just the overtly obvious signs of turnover, but man, the fish are behaving like turnover. In a huge way, the fish are behaving like turnover. You will see some signs of turnover. Like I've said it a few times here lately, we just didn't have a big thermocline this year. I don't think we're going to have a really hard turnover where it's just like the water's drastically churned up and nasty looking because we didn't really have a thermocline of any kind set up on Fork. Some other lakes do have a thermocline. They are going to experience a hard turnover, and they probably are starting to experience that now. Fork never really had much of a thermocline, so I don't think we're going to have that big turnover. That being said, the fishing's pretty tough. I mean, honestly, it is. It's not... I mean, it has been kind of really sporadic the last few weeks. It's been sporadic, like one day's good, one day's bad. No 2 days are the same. It's been really inconsistent. Now, this week, it's just kind of gotten tough, like turnover tough. And that just leads me to believe that we are experiencing whatever turnover we're getting this year. We're experiencing it right now is what it feels like to me. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is happening. I have actually abandoned deep water fishing. I am still doing a little bit of medium depth fishing, still fishing around docks a lot, but most of my fishing is around shallow water and shallow grass especially. That's just my best bet to get bites right now. I mean, that's it. It's just the lake. It's tough fishing. My best bet to get bites is to stay up shallow and grind. Here's what I will say. Big fish, and at times really big fish, show up randomly right now. Like, just, you don't know where you're, when you're, how you're going to catch them. You might be on the smallest bait you throw. It might be on the most finesse bait you throw. It might be on the biggest bait you throw all day. It is junk fishing 101, up shallow. And the cool part about it is you can roll into a giant literally at any time, anywhere right now. You just don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's some guys still catching some fish out deep, but it's probably random for them just like it is for me. I feel like I can be more consistent in the shallow water where I can visually see the bait, know the bait is present. Wherever the bait's present, I'm going to have some bass there. That just gives me more confidence, and I feel like I'm going to be more consistent in those areas. That's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. All right, let's bust out the tools we're using to get it done. Let me grab some of these rods over here. Oh, hold on. Hung up a little bit there. I'm a fishing guy. I'm an expert at getting stuff unhung. You know what I'm saying? Spinnerbait, that little 1/4 ounce white spinnerbait is still a big player for me right now. Throwing a little 1/4 ounce white spinnerbait, small willow blade. That is a very good bait. You can throw really at a couple, like, even though it's a 1/4 ounce, you can get it down there and keep it down a little bit if you'll fish it slow enough with that small willow blade. I'm throwing it really, really shallow, fishing it up high in the water column, and then I'm also throwing it sometimes around medium depths, 4, 5, 6, even 8 foot of water, letting it go all the way bottom and kind of slow rolling it, shaking it a little bit, fishing it a little different. But spinnerbait's a very versatile bait depth-wise throughout the water column like that. Again, apologies for my nose. Another bait that you guys saw in the video last night that we were using with Active Target, it's coming into play on Lake Fork, and that spinnerbait's going to work on all lakes you go to right now. A lot of these baits, a lot of these lakes are going to pattern the same right now because everybody's kind of going through that turnover transition time from summer to fall. So these baits will work on any lake you go to, including Lake Fork. Little square bill, small square bill, Crush 50X, Shad drone colored square bill. Shad drone's my favorite shad killer from 6 cents in the Crush 50. That one's doing really well. Or I say nothing's really doing really well, but it's one of my best baits right now. Hey, a white chatterbait's still getting it done. A white chatterbait's still popping a bite here and there, and a lot of times the white chatterbait's going to be a bigger bite. We also are throwing the little swim baits. The little swim baits we've been throwing on underspins, we're throwing those as well. We're throwing all those moving baits. That's primarily what we're fishing with, guys. We're trying to move around a lot, cover a lot of water, find the bait, find the more active fish that are easier to catch. So we're using a ton of moving baits. But when we find those fish, especially when we're not getting many bites, which is quite a bit right now, we're slowing down with two things. One is a shaky head, a finesse shaky head, 1/4 ounce shaky head with a 6-inch divine shaky head worm on there from 6 cents. That's a 6-inch divine shaky head, a 6-inch divine shaky head worm. That's a blue fleck color. I've been throwing that a little bit here and there. We had some cloudy days this week. We had some dirtier water we were experiencing. We've been throwing the blue fleck. I've also been throwing a green pumpkin or watermelon candy color as well. We're also wacky rigging that. We're throwing it on a shaky head, and then we're wacky rigging it with a 1/2 nail weight in the head when we get around that shallow vegetation. When we're not around vegetation, throwing it on a shaky head. On timber, creek channel bends, little transition points, docks, really good on docks at shaky head. Then we're throwing the wacky worm around shallow vegetation, and we're also throwing the wacky worm around docks as well. Because sometimes those fish in the docks, especially later in the day, will suspend up high under that shade, and that wacky worm is the best thing to catch them on. So those are the baits that I've been using. It's a tough time of year, but it's cool. Like I said, the big fish factor is really interesting this time of year because they can just show up. Like, that's the interesting part about this time of year to me. Every single year when we go through this, we run into these giant fish that I'm totally not necessarily expecting to catch. And they just kind of show up randomly. You just got to put your head down and fish hard. Like, we had one day earlier this week where we actually had a few really good bites. We had 2 break-offs, and one of them got off right at the boat. I mean, we had 3 big bites that day. Like, the one we saw, he got right at the boat. He was, I don't know, he was easily over 5 or 6 pounds, but he could have been 7 or 8 or 9. You never know. I mean, we just got one real good look at him as he kind of flashed in the water close to the boat before he got off. It was a shame. That guy hooked the fish way out there, got it all the way to the boat, and then it just came off right as I was fixing to net it. So just unlucky. Guy didn't do anything wrong. Then we had 2 where we just had breakoffs. One was just a weird breakoff on a hook set where it had a bad spot in the line, broke right down right in front of the reel. It was really strange. And then later in the day, we had a breakoff where a fish had him wrapped around. It looked like he had him wrapped around a stump on the hook set. It felt like a really big fish and just broke him off. So no telling how big those 2 were, but they were definitely, to break that line that I use like that, they were big ones. They weren't little ones. So anyways, that's what we've been experiencing on Lake Fork. Good fish still available to be caught, like always, on Lake Fork. That's why we say there's, and every guide says this, of course, but it's true. It's never a bad time to come to Lake Fork. Even though we're experiencing turnover and all that, it's just the realistic possibility of you running into an absolute giant bass is existent on any cast right now. So it's what makes that place so special. All right, let's answer some questions. What do you do when you see bass chasing big shad? Like full on getting after them? I usually pick up a big swim bait. I like to pick up a big swim bait, like the new ones from 6 Cents, the Trace and Draw. And I like to target those shad chasers with big swim baits. I really do. By the way, y'all know all these 6 Cents fishing baits, everything except the spinnerbait, which next year will be a 6 Cents bait. The shaky head worm, the square bill, the little swim baits, all that stuff we're fishing, 6 Cents Fishing. Go over to 6centsfishing.com and order these baits up and use the code YourLakeForkGuide and you'll get a 10% discount on all orders. .5, yeah, the 3.5 inch swim bait is still the one I'm using right now. Kyle says, it can't be fishing too bad. I heard they had 11 overs in the Big Bass Splash. They did. They actually had 14 overs in the Big Bass Splash, I think. 14 overs, I think is what it was. So, yeah, a lot of, like I say, they had that's a whole lot of anglers. You put that many anglers out there, they're going to run into some big fish. And that's what's happening right now. You can run into giants randomly. But, like, the guy that won it, he caught that fish on the first day. That was his only bite of the day. He had one bite all day. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's tough, but then a giant just shows up. Like, that's what's happening right now. Billy Snow said he gonna make the Cimarron. We sure appreciate it. I'm using a 3/0 flashy swimmer. Todd Flasher's asking if I'm using a 4/0 or 5/0 flashy swimmer on the 3.5 inch swim bait. I'm actually using a 3/0 flashy swimmer on the 3.5 inch swim bait. Have I used a Rico this time of year when they're chasing bait? I prefer a Yellow Magic, but yes. Yeah, a Yellow Magic or even the 6 Cent Splashback Popper. I use that one a lot too. 6 Cent Splashback Popper is a great bait when you're fishing kind of fast. And this time of year, when they're moving around, chasing bait a lot, especially as we get more into the fall bite, I like to fish those baits fast. So, yeah, that type of bait does work. And, like Monday, I think it was, early in the morning, we did have some fish when it was calm early in the morning pop up in school. But then, like most of the rest of the week, it's been pretty windy with this little front that we've had blow through. And when it's windy, they don't school. But when it's calm is when they school. Well, we had some schools and some smaller fish that were popping up schooling around us. And I did tie on that Yellow Magic, and they slapped at it a few times, but the guy never hooked up on it. Have you ever used the clout on the shaky head? I haven't put the clout on the shaky head. I don't think it's a bad idea. I have so much confidence in that shaky head worm. That Divine Shaky Head Worm 6 Cents is so good. I have so much confidence in it. It's kind of what I use on there, honestly. Every once in a while, I will put a hog wallow on there if I want something with some more swimming action. All right, guys, y'all ask some questions if you got them. Like I said, I got to get in and out of here quick tonight. I still got to go make dinner for my kids and get them in bed. We were late coming off the soccer fields tonight, so I had to do everything in a hurry. And we're going to do this a little bit shorter tonight. So if you got some questions, go ahead and ask them now. and we'll get anything answered that we can. Do come see us tomorrow night at the seminar if you're in town. We would love to see you. Yeah, boy, that's what we're doing, giving you guys the best baits and answering questions. Do I ever use a double fluke rig? I personally never have. I got a buddy, Michael Burnside, that he calls it, his nickname's Scampy, and he calls it the Scampy rig because he uses it so much. But I personally have never used it. Am I using the hollow body yet? No, because I'm using a little bit. I mean, we will soon. Like, I'm using a little bit. So I'm wanting a smaller profile bait right now. So many of the shad that are up shallow right now are so small. I'm using that little 3.5 inch Divine swim bait. Now, the hollow body is a 4.5 inch, just a little bit bigger. As soon as we get a little bit past this period that we're in, where we're in transition and turnover and all that, I will go to that 4.5 inch hollow body. It'll be really good. Do I release the brakes on my reels after each trip? No, sure don't. Any tips for bass schooling on shad and won't hit your bait? Man, that is the age-old question, right? I think most people, the general consensus is you throw a bunch of different stuff at them until they bite. You just keep changing. But a fluke can work wonders in schooling fish. It's something that'll just slow down enough to kind of be different. A lot of times, sometimes it's about matching the hatch, and sometimes it's about something that'll stand out from the hatch, right? That'll make them target it because it's a little different. A lot of times matching the hatch is just by getting the size right. But I mean, even like, not even a shad colored fluke, like a watermelon seed fluke works really good on schooling bass at times. Something that I like for schooling bass, it's a little different, and actually Kelly Jordan gave me this tip years ago, and it does work. Of course it does, because Kelly Jordan gave me the tip, right? But take like a 1/2 ounce or 1 ounce jigging spoon, and you can throw it a mile. Those schooling bass are always moving around, right? So you can throw it a long ways. It's going to help you reach those schooling bass when they kind of run away from you a little bit. And you just throw a jigging spoon out through that school and burn it through the top of that school. And it's just something flashy, looks like a little shad, and don't bite it. You can catch them pretty dang good schooling on a jigging spoon, just burning it in. I know that sounds weird, but it works. It really works. Winsboro or Hawkins? Boy, I have fished both of those lakes once. Both of it was like many years ago at this point, 4 or 5 years ago on both. Maybe 3 years ago on Winsboro. Probably 4 years ago on Winsboro, though, and probably 5 or 6 years at least on Hawkins. So I really don't know. I know Hawkins supposedly, or did have a bunch of grass. I think it still does. Winsboro doesn't really have a lot of like hydrilla coontail grass, or it didn't when I was there. Both lakes are pretty good though. Both lakes are pretty solid lakes. I am of no help on that. Really, they're kind of equal to me, honestly. But I don't have hardly any. I've got 1 day of experience on each. Are you seeing them bust dirt shallow? Sometimes, yeah. Some of the fish are really, really shallow. Like, and there's some big fish that are really extremely shallow. Have I ever fished outside of Texas, and what lakes? We got the Big Bass Bash up here on Lake of the Ozarks next weekend. Going to try my luck at it. I don't have any advice for Lake of the Ozarks. I don't know much about it. I've never been on any lake like that. I have fished outside of Texas, but nothing like Lake of the Ozarks. Top bait for when they won't bite after these cold fronts. So here's my advice. When fish just won't bite, which this cold front, I think it affected them a little bit, but more of the effect that we were dealing with was the turnover and transition period that we're in. That was what was making the fishing tough more than the cold front was. These first couple cold fronts aren't really going to make them not bite, but later in the year they definitely will on post-frontal days not bite. But when fish get post-frontal and just inactive and don't want to bite, to me you have to go one of two directions. You got to go extreme both. You either got to go extremely finesse or you got to go extremely reactive. So I like to go to the most reactionary baits I can, like the movement 80X or a jerk bait. Or I like to go extremely finesse with like a wacky rig trick worm or divine shiggy worm, or a weightless, just weightless plastic, small profile weightless plastic like a fluke or something. I just go extremely slow, and then now fish those finesse baits so slow in that situation, or I go extremely reactive, get that movement 80x, clanging around, banging off timber, banging off wood, just big time reaction baits. So I just go one extreme or the other. Watch out for the big stumps on Winsboro. Yeah, Winsboro ain't no joke. You don't just run around out there on Winsboro if you don't know what you're doing. There are your stumps up and down that lake if you don't know where to run. Timmy Rhodes says, do the 16-inch pink fluke with lavender dip tail sprayed with pumpkin spice play a part this time of year? If so, what depths would you fish it? I would probably, I don't know, maybe fish that at the club. I don't know. That's my old tournament partner. He's an idiot. He's my boy, but he's an idiot. If I could live on any lake other than Fork, what would it be? Ooh, good question. As far as living goes, I'm staying in Texas. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm staying in Texas. Like, you're not getting me out of Texas. So, there's other lakes outside the state that I would love to fish, but as far as living, I don't want to live anywhere but Texas. For me, that's an easy answer. It's Sam Rayburn. And it's not just about the fishing. The fishing is really good on Sam Rayburn, obviously. It's recently been the #1 rated lake in the country. It's consistently a very good lake. Has been for years and years and years and years. But for me, the Sam Rayburn deal is it feels like home. I went there some as a kid. I grew up in the Conroe, Texas area, not too far from there. When I go there, it really feels like I'm home. Because honestly, where I grew up doesn't look anything like it did when I grew up there. Like it's not even home at all. Rayburn, for some reason, maybe it's because I was there as a kid. Maybe it's because it's how, some of the areas that I used to live around used to be, but it just feels like home. The culture down there, the people down there, they all feel like the people I grew up around. I love Sam Rayburn. I go down there and I just feel happy when I'm there. So, yeah, it'd be Sam Rayburn. Kale Ellis says, I've been addicted to your channel lately. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I need a lot of people to get addicted. That's awesome. No, actually, I don't. I don't need anybody to get addicted. It's, I'm blessed to have what I have, and it's beyond anything I ever thought it would be already, actually. So, I've been addicted to your channel lately. I'm just starting to fish tournaments with my dad, and I'm just wondering the best tip you could give for someone like me. Oh, man, just time. I mean, time on the water and pay attention to details. That's the overall general tips to, like, get better at fishing. Is spend every waking second you can on the water, trying to catch them, tournament or not, and pay attention to every small detail of every bite, every cast. The more details you can retain and absorb, the better you're going to be. If you remember exactly how you were working that bait, exactly what depth it was out, every detail about the catch, the bite that you get, it's going to make you a better fisherman. You know what the pros do better, like the tournament level guys, what they do better than everybody, including myself, is they are aware of they're in, like they're all in mentally, like they are focused, they're thinking about nothing else, and they are paying attention to every single detail, and they're fishing more efficiently. They're keeping their bait in front of fish in a strikeable position for a higher part of the day, higher percentage of the day. That's what they do better than us. And, landing them and all that comes with experience. You'll get that over time, but that's part of where the time on the water comes in. Mm-hmm. So time on the water, paying attention to every detail. That's my advice. Yep, Timmy Rhodes, very good advice. Don't overthink it, slow down, and pay attention. Yeah, most people tend to fish too fast in bass fishing, myself included. Most people, and you can fish fast, like fish your bait on a fast retrieve, and still slow down and be more thorough. And I'll tell you, having that active target is really teaching me how many times I have fished too fast. Because now I'll see fish in those areas, just like in last night's video. I'll see fish in those areas on active target, and I know those fish are staying around, so I don't leave. And even though I may be winding a bait fast, I stay in that area and keep casting, keep casting, keep casting. Boom. Then all of a sudden I get a bite. That gets another fish triggered. I get another bite. Yeah, slow down and pay attention. Yep. Good tip from Timmy Rose. Anthony Carball says, you boat flipped a 6-pounder for the first time. When I tell you my heart rate dropped, I was probably dead for half a second. Ain't no big deal, man. We just boat flip them. We just bring them on in. You don't need a net. Don't need no stinking nets around here. Now, she about 10 pounds, we'll go get that net. Other than that, we just going to bring them in. Unless we fishing that wacky worm. You ain't going to be boat flipping no 8-pounder on a wacky worm rod. I know that. Gabriel, thank you very much. I'm doing outstanding, son. I am doing very, very good these days. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate that. Things are good around here, man. Things are good. Still dealing with a little bit more details on the off-the-water stuff, but it's mostly, I think, mostly behind me now. Life is going well. I'm very, very happy these days. So thank you for asking. Did I throw the A-rig yet? I've not been throwing the A-rig yet. I'm not fishing deep anymore. Like, I go into this little mode during the transition where I just kind of don't really go deep, and I'm in that mode right now. We'll get back out there. When the fish start kind of moving more into real fall patterns, we'll get back out there. And the A-rig will be absolutely one of my primary baits at that time. That's awesome. Guys, I hate to do this. I got to cut y'all off short tonight. I got to get going. I got to go feed these kids in there, get them to bed, get them some rest. They don't act like idiots like their dad used to when he was in school. You know what we need to do, right? We got to bring him back. We got to bring him back to send us out on a good note. Everybody get your brown water cups. Little Uncle Ted to close it out. We bring it in with Uncle Ted. We send it home with Uncle Ted. And we say cheers, because this Thursday night, this is Top Baits Live. Thank you guys so much for joining. 2 big gulps of goodness right there, man. Appreciate y'all. Hope to see y'all at seminar tomorrow night. We'll see y'all next week on the videos either way. We'll be right back here live on Thursday as well. You know how we do it around here, man. Content every day. Every day, 6 out of 7 days out of the week, we got some content coming for you. So can't thank y'all enough for everything you've done for me. I appreciate it more than I'll ever be able to show you or tell you. So that's it, man. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide. Okay, Ted, we got a little. This is a live version. We got a solo going.